Hello, it's Aaron here from Sun and Sage, and very welcome to my next episode, episode 2 of Aaron's update from Bali. So, for those of you who don't know me, I spend my spare time rescuing animals and trying to promote the vegan cause. If you don't know any of the animals that I'm talking about today, take a look at my Instagram or some of the other videos that I've done, and you'll be able to see those animals in there and find out a bit more about their backstory. Okay, so on to my update for the month. I'll start with the best news that I had for the whole month. Actually, there was lots of really good news, but for this one, the best news I think was that I had an interview with the dodo, and they're going to be featuring one of my favourite rescues of all time, who is Homer. He's such a champ. He was in such bad shape, and now he's doing really well, and he lives such a wonderful life with Nunki, one of my friends who adopted him, and that story is going to be on the dodo really soon, so I'm hoping to see that, and I hope you enjoy watching that too. It's not all good news in Bali though. As many people know, there's a lot of street animals here, and I do my best to give them food and medicine when I see them. One of those animals is Barney, who people might already know. I've been giving him Bravecto before to help his skin. He also had blood parasites. He was super skinny, so he was on a course of doxycycline. I stopped to see him one day, and I found him literally dying on the floor. It was pretty heartbreaking, but I knew what was happening to him because I'd seen all these symptoms before, and he'd eaten poison. One of the things that I knew I had to do was to help him, but how do you help a dog that has eaten poison and is soon going to die? Well, I shot off to the shop and I bought some charcoal tablets, and my friend Nenga Sujati also came with me to force feed him some oil. So the charcoal tablets were to absorb the poison. The oil was to induce vomiting. So we put the oil first and we put the charcoal tablets after. So we got him to vomit, and it was our hope that he was going to be okay, but he wasn't really out of the woods. I took Barney to the vet afterwards, and they put him on a drip, and I'm so happy to say that he survived the night, and he's already gone back to the family where he lives, and he's doing really well. I've also told them, hey look, if there's any problems, please let us know. You know that we can help an animal if they seem sick, or if there's a problem with them, just give me a call and I'll come back and help them, and Barney can be just fine. In the same location as Barney, there's also 3 cats that I'd dropped to see. I actually found them when I went to check up on Barney one day before he was poisoned, and I saw this cat that had like this rock disease, and it's called scabies. It's so itchy and it's really bad. Basically, it ends up taking over the whole cat. They're unable to really do anything. Sometimes their eyes even fuse shut. So it's a really horrible disease, and the parasites that they have can also end up giving them blood parasites too, and really ending their life. So it's something that we need to intervene in as soon as we can. So I found this one cat. Her name was Matcha. I asked about the cat, and I heard that there was another 2 cats. She had 2 sons. Matcha had 2 sons. So her sons too, when I went to see them, they also had scabies. One of them had pretty bad scabies, and the other one was just starting. It was really sad to see, but again, I thought, right, at least I can try and help them. So I did 2 things. The first thing was to give them ivermectin injection. So I gave each one of those cats an ivermectin injection. With Matcha, we suspected she was pregnant, so I couldn't initially do that until I'd taken her to the vet and given her an ultrasound, but that confirmed she wasn't pregnant, so she was able to have ivermectin injection as well. And it's amazing how quickly these cats can recover. So all 3 of them are doing really well, and their scabies is almost gone. They've had their injection and their fur's growing back. I'll keep on checking on them, but they're doing really well. The other thing that I was really keen to do was to sterilize all of these cats. The problem we have here in Bali is that a lot of families are unable to sterilize their animals, meaning that there's a lot of street animals that end up being on the street and suffering. So one of the key things that we can do is sterilize animals. So I invited a vet to come along to the family home, and we got all 3 of those cats sterilized, plus an extra one from a lady next door who'd heard that there was a sterilization happening. So I'm really happy for that. It means no more kittens are going to be born and end up being thrown away or ending up living on the street or suffering. So these sterilizations are really, really important. Like I say, there's good news and bad news with a lot of what I do here, and one of the best news stories that just happened a couple of days ago was I finally got Lochong rehomed. If you remember, Lochong was a very, very scared dog who was so skinny, and he'd lost a good portion of his fur. We had to get a net to catch him. He was so afraid of humans. Since then, he's had like 1 month stay in the vet and another 6 weeks stay in a dog hotel, and he's blossomed into this really awesome, cool little dog. I think he's a mixed pincher / Bali dog maybe, but I don't know. Anyway, it's fantastic. We managed to get him rehomed in one of my favourite places on the whole of Bali, which is the same place where Tilly and Edifix live. They're the 2 dogs that were previously featured in the dodo. So it's been really great to see Lochong's recovery, but the best moment is seeing him find a new home, and now he's going to be a brother to Tilly. So he's doing really well on his new home, and I'll keep tabs on him. A lot of people will have been following Blackie's story. She's such a lovely little dog. She had a vaginal tumour, and she also had a broken paw, which actually we amputated last month. It was acting as dead weight with her, so she needed it amputating so she didn't have any future problems with putting all her weight on the one leg and carrying around extra weight. But the big update with Blackie, I'm afraid it's not the best news. She's had 15 rounds of chemotherapy already, and her tumour has shrunk, but it's got to the point where it's about 4 centimetres, and it's not going down. So the vet has suggested that we try a different chemotherapy, which needs to happen once every 3 months, but it's a very slow, intensive process. So I'm not going to give up on Blackie. I know that Blackie can get better, and I'm going off all the vet advice, and yeah, I appreciate everyone's lovely messages about Blackie, and I'll keep doing what I can for her. There was more good news though with another one of my favourite dogs. It feels like all of these animals are my favourite animals, but Samosa, who is one of the sweetest dogs. You saw last month in my update that I was looking for a home for her, and I hadn't found a home for her. She's one of the dogs that I picked up in a market, and I'd initially taken her in for sterilisation, but it turned out she needed a whole hip operation, and then she needed somewhere safe to recover, and then she was just too sweet to put back on the street. So I ended up going to an adoption day with my friends at Act for Bali Dogs, and on that day this lovely family turned up and said they wanted to adopt Samosa, so they took her home, and she's had the happy ending that she really deserved. I went to check up on her a few days later, and she's been doing really well. On my checkup with Samosa, this is how these things work in Bali, I found Samosa's new brother. His name was Konki. It turns out he had like this tumour growth on his chest, and it looked like something I shouldn't really say on the internet, but he was such a loving little dog as well. I said to them, I'm worried this is a cancerous tumour, so if you take him into the vet, I'll put him under my account. And they were so happy with this. It's not like they just wanted to leave him with it, but it's really difficult for families to be able to pay for expensive vet care here in Bali. So I said, put him under my account and we'll sort him out. So we took Konki into the vet, and I'm really happy to say that he had a biopsy, and it turns out the lump wasn't actually cancer at all. It was a fatty lump, but the problem was it was kind of hanging, so every time he sat down, it would kind of rub, so it left him open to infection. The only solution for that was an operation, so I said, okay, let's go for it. Let's get Conky his operation. He's just had that operation last week, and he's doing really well. He's recovering back at home, and the family are so grateful. We actually got a phone call from them crying, saying they were so happy because they were really worried about him. So I'm grateful too, because I couldn't be able to do this without people supporting me through Patreon on my vet bills and through my shop. One of the updates I know people have been waiting for is little Chaya. He's the baby kitten that I found in the market one night. I managed to get him through the first couple of days by bottle feeding him with help from my friends Villa Kitty, and a few days later I was able to find a weaning mum with my friend Aubrey. So he's been suckling off the mum with his new foster brothers. He's been doing really well. He's already about 8 weeks old now, which means it's time to fly the nest pretty soon. So I've already got a foster lined up. It's going to be a bit difficult to take him away, but I know it's got to happen. We need to get these kittens rehomed. So Chaya will be going into his foster home next week. Look out for updates in my next update on Chaya. I'm so happy he's managed to pull through, because there were stages when I thought, he's so tiny, I don't know if he's going to make it, but he made it, and I'm very, very happy to see he's done that. Kumis is one more animal that he's been staying with me. He's going on a big adventure pretty soon. I can't really say much more, but all I can say is he's loving life, and he's really fattened up. He's a completely different cat to the skinny, poor cat that I'd met a couple of months ago. So he's been doing really, really well. He's such a little character, and he's going to be going to a new home really soon. The same goes for Oreo, one of the other dogs that I found in the market, who was a dumped puppy basically, and she was just full of fleas and had a skin condition, but now that's all recovered. She's also got a home lined up, which I'm going to be taking her to pretty soon. More news to come on Oreo soon. That's pretty much all of my updates for animals here in Bali. The one thing that I always follow up any of my rescues with is, I know people see these and they feel really, they really feel for the animals. You've probably got dogs or cats at home, and you'd hate to see your dogs or cats in the same situation. I really see these animals on the street as the lucky ones. Why do I say that? Because when you look at some of the practices in our agriculture industry, there really is no escape for them. If you have a look at the egg industry, for example, and give it a Google, but try and find out what happens to baby male chicks. It's really not nice, but every time we eat an egg, that's actually what we pay for. And I know people wouldn't do that to kittens or puppies. So that's one of the things that I'm really trying to link with everything I'm doing here, and I appreciate everybody's support. I've been really happy to receive lots of messages this month from different people saying, now that you put it like that, yeah, I'm going to start my vegan journey, and maybe I'll slip, maybe I'll struggle, but I'd love to have some of your help and support. So I've said, yes, of course, if you're considering veganism, please let me know. You'll get no judgment from me. I'm not about making people feel bad. I'm about supporting people and using the whole idea of veganism, which of course is kindness, not to animals, but to all living beings, including human beings. I know people are compassionate, and I know people love animals. So that's what I'm trying to do with Sun and Sage. So I'll keep on exploring the ethical reasons for choosing veganism, but I can only do it thanks to support from everyone who's supporting my Patreon or sending money directly to my vet account. And my shop is still up at the moment. I'm going to have to see how that goes after the pandemic, but it does mean that my time is freed up to do a lot more rescue and vegan related videos. So I'm so happy to hear it's been getting through to some people as well. That's it for this month's update. I really appreciate everybody watching. YouTube tells me that I've got to tell people to do likes and shares and so on, so comments and whatnot, please do that. No thumbs down. Don't do thumbs down. Okay, end of the video. Awkward ending, but it'll do.